Hey everyone, it's your professional sarcastic man and seeker of attention, Oz Chris here with some more Power Ranger comic book news. So, recently from August 17 to 19, Power Morphicon was held, which is a convention for all things, Power Rangers or Tokusatsu theme related. So pretty much Comic Con for Power Rangers is what it is. And Boom Studios decided to kind of tease what's next for both of their Power Ranger comic book series, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Go-Go Power Rangers, titling it Beyond the Grid after the events of Shattered Grid. So since all we know so far is that for at least Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, we have a new writer, Marguerite Minette, and that the team after the events from issue number 31 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers until said otherwise will be a mix and match of Rangers from different teams, and they give us a hint to whether these are actually the MMPR team using different powers or they are actually the Rangers from those different seasons working as a team. The first one they did is reveal who is the Dark Ranger. So the Dark Ranger in the comic books, in this one, is the Power Ranger equivalent to Death Ryuja or Kyoryu Navy from Juden Sentai Kyoryuja, the series that was adapted into Power Rangers Dino Charge and Dino Supercharge. And this was a Ranger that was originally planned to appear in the series, but for reasons unknown, they decided not to. But they heavily hinted and implied who this Ranger would be. It was going to be called the Talon Ranger, which is a name I prefer much more than the Dark Ranger. The Dark Ranger is a very kind of generic sounding name. Talon Ranger has a bit more like oomph to it. It sounds a bit more better. It's like, I am the Talon Ranger. It's like, I'm the Dark Ranger. Right over there is the Light Ranger. Right over there is the slightly darker Ranger. But over on Tokyo Nation, which the article I will link in the description, they show who the Dark Ranger is, and it's none other than Heckle from the aforementioned Dino Charge, Super Dino Charge series. The one who was always heavily implied to become the Talon Ranger. And I'm for it, definitely. I'm definitely for it. I like Heckle was definitely one of the good points of that series of Dino Supercharge, a character that had a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality, from the name itself, Heckle and Snide, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was an interesting character. He was an interesting villain, and at the end of the series, he redeems himself, and he gets the Dark Energem. So, like I said, they were building it up and hinting that the so-called Talon Ranger was going to be Heckle, and judging from the image here, they're definitely using the Death Ryuja suit, which makes much more sense because the Kyoryu Navy suit is it's a good version. It's a purified version since Death Ryuja used fake powers to become Death Ryuja. Unlike Kyoryu Navy, which is just, they use the regular transformation device, and it wasn't a power that was faked or forced into servitude, which was Death Ryuja's thing. That even though he was technically a Kyoryuja, like I said, his powers come from a fake source, and he forced essentially his Zorda, Tobaspino, to work alongside him. So definitely I'm for all this, Heckle being the Dark Ranger of this series, and showing it seems to be, at least it could be until we see more, that this lineup from issue number 31 onwards is going to be the Rangers from those series. So you had the Red Space Ranger, you had the Magna Defender, you had the Yellow Zeo Ranger. I know I'm missing some. I know the Ranger Slayer from that debuted right before Shattered Grid in Go-Go Power Rangers is going to be on the team as well, and is essentially the only one that really has a connection to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So I like the core concept and the idea. I just wish it wasn't called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, since only one of them is technically a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, but who knows. But also they'll be introducing another new Ranger, their kind of first comic book exclusive Ranger, the Solar Ranger. And overall design so far, it's not bad, but it could have been slightly better. And going from the design of the suit, it looks like there seems to be like stars on the suit. So I don't know if solar is a fitting name. I would have given what seems to be the theme. The theme seems to be, until said otherwise, is space, like cosmic, cosmos, all of that. So I would have preferred something like the Cosmic Ranger or the Cosmos Ranger or something like that. Instead of solar, technically, it would still fit in the space theme, but given the coloring, it doesn't fit. The name solar doesn't fit. When you think solar, you think, well, the sun. What color is the sun? I don't know, yellow, red, orange, or yellow and orange predominantly. So you would think it would either be like a yellow or gold or an orange Ranger, but they're going with a purple with black and gold accents, details. So be interesting to see what we get from the Solar Ranger. And moving on to Go-Go Power Rangers, the team will have a color swap. They will swap colors, they will swap powers essentially. So Trini is the Red Ranger, Zach is the pink, Jason is the yellow, Kimberly is the blue, and Billy is the Black Ranger. I'm not sure why, but it should be interesting to see. They did something similar in the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger comic, but it was all of them being one color, which was the Green Ranger. They were all the Green Ranger. So it's not something that can't happen. It has happened before, but it's just happened to one color, and it could possibly be almost a reference to the team from 1969, where they had a almost similar lineup. Only difference is that the Black Ranger in their team was female and the Blue Ranger was still a male on that team. So could possibly be a reference to that. We'll see later on. And then the next thing I showed is that Jason and Trini are going to hook up, and it's at least not a Marvel thing where it's just like, look, these people are in a relationship out of the blue with no setup whatsoever. It's in the first story of Go-Go Power Rangers, it's very much implied and hinted that Jason and Trini want to hook up. They want to bang, pretty much. They've always been seen training with one another because they work well together. So they train together, and so of course, it being shown that they're gonna hook up is not much of a surprise. The only problem is, I believe Go-Go Power Rangers is supposed to be set in MMPR's past, the comics past, because they only just introduced Tommy in that series during the events of Shattered Grid. So they are starting to catch up with the first comic. But in the first comic, Jason and Trini aren't a couple. And even in Shattered Grid, Jason has been seen pretty much flirting with Lauren from Super Samurai, the second Red Samurai Ranger from that series. So it's kind of while it's a nice thing, it does seem like it's going to be a romance that is destined to fail. As much as I'm like I said, I'm definitely for it. They did build it up well. It wasn't kind of like out of the blue. It's just like, you know, they're training together, they're starting to hang out more, and then you see the hints that they're in a relationship and that they not in a relationship, that they have feelings for one another. They like each other, but they don't say anything. They're hesitating. So it is something that's been built up, but unless Shattered Grid decides to multiverse the two series, so like they're their own separate things instead of like one's in the past and one's supposed to be the present day in that series, it's a romance that's not going to last. That's the thing. It won't last. It eventually along the line they'll break up, which is the sad thing. But other than that, that's kind of the main news that came out of Power Morphicon from Boom Studios. Beyond the Grid, we'll have to wait and see, because next week, I believe, is the final issue. This issue of Shattered Grid #1. Yes, right here. Yes, on sale August 28th at midnight. Shattered Grid #1, the final issue of Power Rangers Last Event, which I'll definitely be picking up, and then I will give my final thoughts on the entire event, you know, as a whole. What I thought of it, the highs and lows, what I thought could have been improved upon, etc., etc., etc. And so it's good to see that they're going with these new ideas. As much as I prefer that they move on from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because you know it's a nostalgia series. Like, if you remove the nostalgia, it's not a good series. It is a product of its time, essentially. And with Shattered Grid, you've shown the other series exist in a capacity. Do something with them. Like, do another comic book. Do another comic for another series. Or move on and properly introduce the White Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Move on, introduce Zed and all that. Stop trying to stick with like the main basis of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Even though I do enjoy the comics. The comics are great. Definitely something for Power Ranger fans. The comics are amazing. Just much like with the merchandising, with like all the toys for like Megazords and all like that, you need to move on from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Stop milking that series because of the nostalgia, which is, in my opinion, just stop milking the series. You have a ton of other series to get material from. Move on, essentially. Like, no one's going to fault you. Like, it's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like I said, it's a nostalgia thing with that series. And there's plenty of other great series that you can make another great comic book series from as well. So, you have to let go of it one day. hopefully one day. And then hopefully, like, the merchandising, like, all the teams making, like, the toys and everything can let go of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as well. It's like, I don't need 20 different versions of the Dino Megazord. Please stop it. But that's it for this video, giving just a little bit of news from the Boom Studios comic book sphere, essentially. Leave a like, subscribe and hit the notification if you haven't already, or if you found you no longer have hit that bell because, you know, YouTube doesn't know how to fix its own algorithms and all that. Leave a comment, check out my Twitter, check out this article if you want this from Tokyo Nation. There's also a discussion thread, people talking about it, giving their own hypotheses, their own thoughts on it as well. So if you want to see more of that, like I said earlier, I've linked the article in the description, and check out any of my previous videos as well if anything tickles your fancy. And I will see all of you amazing people next time.